Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Saturday night, and of course that means Monster of the Week. That is our weekly tournament series where you can sign up for free and win coffee just for playing. Why is that? Well, I'm part of the content affiliate program. That means the Phobies team does, in fact, give me coffee for producing Phobies content, as well as providing the prizes for said tournament. So we're going to look at some of the games from tonight. I do want to, and I mentioned this in Discord, I want to take a more... Which way do I gotta slide this way. I rearranged the setup a little bit. I want to take a more analytical approach to the games, more so than just kind of for the lulls, like we've been doing for a lot of stuff. I think it's good to mix it up. I think we'll try to have a mix. I don't think we're going to solve that issue, if you want to call it that, in a singular night. Because I do want to keep things entertaining, and it is important to talk about some of these things, but maybe I need to focus more on discussing the particular topics at either before or pausing the game or after the game, something like that, so we can focus on the actual plays that are being made. But we'll make an attempt. We'll see. Master Dark, what's good? I'm doing all right. Surprised to see live starting already. Remember, recently I had an hour change, so that is tonight, I believe, for us. So the time we'll have an extra hour of sleep because it's fall back, right? I fucking hate the time changes. They're stupid. That same one that made me accidentally skip A. Womp womp. It happens. It happens. All right, let's get into it. So we're going to be looking at... Actually, I'm going to switch to this scene. So this one I don't have to, I got to rearrange that other, the waiting scene. And I didn't crop it the same. I was trying to keep it the same. I thought I cropped this out in this scene, like that shelf, but whatever. I hate them too. At least it's not the summer one. Yeah, well, the summer-spring one is definitely worse. All right, so one of the reasons that I wanted to get the whole, let's pay more attention to the game thing out of the way is we did have Shadow Force playing in some of the games, so I wanted to focus on those. At least to start. At least to start. Now, did we get any on the new maps? Because there were a number of new maps in the pool, but I did also see people complaining about playing on... This might sting a little. We'll see. This is not the right game. That was not the right game. It's between the right people. Oh, god damn it. Did they choose the wrong the big house was not in the pool. Also, what the fuck happened here? Why did my thing go? Why did my green screen die there for a second? Alright, maybe we're not watching the Shadow Force games because they didn't follow directions? We can look at that game anyway. Might as well take a look. Alright, so I believe this was for Monster of the Week. It was a Frenemies game. It's between the right people, but while this map is available, this was not part of the pool, I don't think. What were the... Let me go back to the notes. I know we're going to be focusing on the game, but, this is... relevant. So it's supposed to be Ill Intent, Vicious Cycle, Withering Heights, and This Might Sting a Little. And here we are in the big house. What are you going to do? But we did have a game in the bracket between Oxy and Bosspin, aka Shadow Force here. Both players naturally starting out with the old corn opener. I'm not surprised at all. The big issue here is this, what just appeared, and that's Innocuous, and I've been going through a lot of balanced discussions for a variety of games lately, and worse is that it just got into the rotation, Big House. I don't mind Big House as a map, but I was trying to force the new maps, to force people to be on the new maps, and, I can't police all the games directly. I would need the players to make a judge call, essentially, and nobody did. Whoops. So we get a Shove Shark, and this is kind of what the Innocuous issue preserves. None of these openers make sense, but this, or none of these openers are abnormal. They do make sense. And the response here from Killer Ox also makes sense because you're going to need something big and tanky to march up to Shadow Force's team. The problem is, by the time that Hydra gets into range, Shadow Force is going to have 8, maybe 11 keys available. Admittedly, only 1 slot on their team. But not only will this Innocuous be able to kite the Hydra, hypothetically, they're also going to have the opportunity to slam something bigger or more threatening than the Hydra onto the board. And now Ox here has added a Shove Shark themselves, meaning that they're maxed out. And there is Blasto. You want to talk about big, tanky Phobies? We got one of them. This also makes sense as a response. You have these 2 hallways. We unfortunately will not get... Oh, will we? No, because the Innocuous had to move. I was going to say we won't get a takedown on the Shadow Force Innocuous, which would have been a great pickup for Ox here. If it was me or Coral, there wouldn't be logic at all. Fair. But here's where Killer Ox is in Ouchtown. I don't know what their response to this is. They needed to suicide the Electrocat or something. So in all seriousness, like, I think the Electrocat needed to either claim the middle point or more likely flip this bottom panic point. You knew that the Corn was hanging out down here, so you know there's going to be a trap, which means sacrifice the 1 key so that you can get access to your remaining 11 keys. Admittedly, 8 right now. But the board state you have cannot contest that Blasto. You're not killing it. And it's going to annihilate you in return. You have to put something else on the board. You asked Bean of Evil who thinks the most random is between you, Koro, and him. What was the answer? Alright, so we do get the takedown here. After flipping this, I still would have liked to have seen flipping the bottom panic point. The reason for that is it would have pushed a little bit more damage, forced Shadow Force to take a more defensive position, trying to reclaim their own panic points. But either way, this is what the issue is. You're not killing the Blasto. You're obviously not even getting to the Innocuous. Are we just retreating here? Oh, no. Alright, we get a Yeti. I feel like Shadow Force's Shove Shark is going to be online. If it is, that's going to boot the Blasto into a giant Blom. It might not even be worth it doing that, though. Nope, we're going to get the retreat. Shadow Force doing exactly the play that I was mentioning earlier, which is freeing up their team. Right now, Oxy is down on keys, down on board position, down essentially on Phobies. Not a great position to be in, so you sacrifice the Cowbell so you can continue to press your advantage as Shadow Force. However, the Shove Shark does enable the Yeti to freeze up the Blasto. You're just not in range, though, and your Shove Shark is down now in order to get that Yeti to connect. So good pickup there, but the Yeti might die here. You can actually connect with everything, plus whatever comes out of the vault. Oof. That's... Yikes. That's actually pretty spicy. We get the Sizzle. Rather than a Snowball, this is very interesting. It does leave Shadow Force with 3 keys. And the Blasto's live again. As I said, this game was... I don't want to say the game was literally over, but I think the game might have been decided by Oxy not sacrificing the Electrocat sooner. I don't know what Killer Ox's options were. Oh, baby. Oh. Yeah, that's a ball game. As if it wasn't clear before. I mean, I don't know what Oxy's options were collection-wise prior to this. But I do feel that the game was essentially lost on the non-sacrificial Electric Cat turn because you needed the tempo. You had to respond to the Blasto almost immediately. I don't know what the answer is to a Blasto in that scenario. Had what, 8 keys? I don't know if, say, Oxy has access to boss. Because a boss could allow you, especially with Shove Shark, like you push, hit, you're fired, cook a good portion of their team, disable a bunch of the tiles, and then retreat. It could allow you to then poke them out, hypothetically. I liked the Hydra response to the early game, but yikes. GG. So I'm open to other interpretations, and as I said, I mentioned in my Discord that I wanted to lend a more critical eye to a lot of these games. See if we can get, a little more focus on, the technical aspects of it. Let's see here. Let's find the next one. How did this game go on so long? Okay, hold on. Did no one listen? Did I... I'm just double checking that I didn't incorrectly post the map pool. Nope. People just didn't listen. It's not that big of a deal, but I did want to try and force people to play on the new map so we can get a look at the new maps. I don't have a problem inherently with the big house, but it is problematic when people don't follow directions. We're not going to go into that discussion again because that one's been rehashed a million times. We'll take a look at these games, or this game. So once again, we have Oxy over here in the blue trunks. We got Marky in the orange trunks. Early corn. Response is snappy. The opening from Marky is kind of interesting. 1-1 into 4. I wouldn't hate that if the 1 was innocuous. Not that I hate the snappy, but innocuous is just better, right? This is the discussion, or one of the discussions I've been having in other games, is that it's absolutely fine if, you like snappy. If you like whatever phobia, you want whatever strategy. But there is a point where you are simply handicapping yourself. Like, you are penalizing yourself. And in this case, we're going to have to examine the rest of this game. Assume every time that Snappy takes an action, what if it was innocuous instead? So we get a glob as the response to Goon. I don't know that I love that. This is fine, except, again, imagine if this Snappy was an innocuous. It would die to the counterattack from the opposing innocuous, but it would be able to kill that corn, and, you could set up positioning that maybe you could, maybe you could keep it alive so it wouldn't die to a counterattack. But as it is right now, Marky has put some damage on the corn, but that's about it. We do get the heebie-jeebies special. Go ahead, chat. Drop it on him. Hit him with the heebie-jeebies special. We get him with the heebie-jeebie special. We're locking things down. I do like this play. I'm fine with this maxing out because we do have a boom, which means that you can free up space. This is a time where I think boom is fine for a variety of reasons, but in this case, you can just detonate it to get access to your 11 keys. Now, there are 14 keys for our blue player, but a 4-to-1 panic point advantage.
Oh my God!
There it is. We get the heebie-jeebie
They're gonna
special.
do it! They're gonna hit him with the heebie-jeebie special!
I don't know why it's not playing through my headphones anymore, but I gotta fix that. So we get the retreat here. Obstacle finally going down. The cat's going to be able to claim at least a panic point, but there's still 2 1 keys for our orange player. Oh, Glob going for it in the north. And we got an Akira. I, honest to God, don't remember the last time we saw Akira on the big house. If nothing else, these games have been very interesting. Yikes. That... I wonder if that is explicitly to free up space, and it's like, well, if I get a panic point in the process, great. But otherwise, Alright, so Akira is going to be online. We're fearing the Akira play here, which is fine. We could set up another heebie-jeebie special, I think, on this upcoming turn, but the glob is going to be in the way, and that's the bottom line. Are we going for it? Nope. There's no way you'd go for it without allowing an Oculus to at least attack once. I don't think you can kill this thing. I don't love that. Segmenting your own side of the board is a little questionable. Probably the penultimate phobie is Crush More. 5 keys available for our blue player. And this is the other problem. Akira has AoE. Admittedly, those are 2 undead phobies, so it's not that big of a deal. But now you can no longer meaningfully interact with the glob? I mean, what's the plan here? Are you gonna... For a second, I thought they were gonna lock this completely off. I don't know which of these phobies gets pulled first. The Snappy or the Crushmore. Apparently it's Crushmore. That's a big yikes moment, because that is a dead Crushmore, absolutely. And that's probably a dead Marky. I don't see how you get out of this. There's not enough damage on your opponent's phobies. It's not like they're all near death's door and you can clean them out. And you lost 6 keys effectively for free. You can clean out the glob, but is that worth? That's... I mean, that is a blom. Alright, so we're going to claim the panic points back. Snappy should tank all of this. I think. Yeah, seemingly it will, because obviously you would have killed the Snappy over the Contortio, right? Alright, Marky's not out of it. Two keys to 5, though. That's going to be the big issue, is Killer Rocks can put another relevant board reshaping phobie on the board. Like, 5 keys is a respectable amount. Or they could put 2 phobies on the board. Whereas Marky's reduced to just simply 1 keys at this point, and they're riding, or they're putting their entire hopes and dreams on Goon's back. Yikes. Down goes Gravedigger. Yeah, this is... the writing's on the wall for this one. Hydra. Hardly know you. So we're getting the body block here, but that's not going to do... Well, I guess it eats some damage, but between the AoE from... Like, Akira's going to attack it, then Korn clears it out, then you get... Or you can do it this way, I guess. That works too, and then you get the full AoE hits. Wait, why not target green? I don't know if it matters. Was it just me, or did it seem like they missed attacks there? Did they miss attacks there? Hold on. This is gonna bother me. Alright, so Corn attacks twice. Akira attacks once. Innocuous attacks once. They had 2 more attacks. It wouldn't kill this. Certainly wouldn't kill this. You could have killed the AWOL, though. You target Goon twice with the Akira, you kill the AWOL, and at least remove that from the board. Huh. Me? Don't call it a comeback. Alright, so this position, you just target the Goon twice, right? Alright, maybe the goal here is to get enough damage. Like, maybe... The Hydra should have been able to do this on its own, though. And I guess it doesn't matter. This does allow you to take the panic point, but it does open up your heart. Like... Can Marky do this? Dude, I think Marky took this. I think that heart's dead. Is it not? Wait, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is a good heads-up play. Get the yoink. Marky threw this game because they chose to Blom here. Wait, did they need to heal to live? Was that why they did that? $18.92. Yeah, they needed the heal. That's why they did it. Okay, that makes more sense. It's less exciting that way, but it did make sense. Because if they hit the heart twice, they're not killing it. They're putting it at 100, but then they just immediately die. I mean, mathematically, with the way these numbers are, the game is over no matter what. Like, Marky would have to just straight up not do anything. That's pretty wild, though. Obviously, it doesn't matter. You're not going to kill the heart. Just punch here. That's fine. That was almost a hell of a comeback. There was a winnable moment, I think. Probably, but I don't think it ever should have gotten to that point. Because imagine if Killer Ox had taken those 2 attacks that they just didn't do. Like, it wasn't, oh, they attacked the wrong thing. Or they did something else. They just literally left 2 actions on the table, I think, on that one turn. So imagine if the Goon had taken 2 more hits prior to that. They never would have been in this close of a position. At least, I do not believe. Definitely a very tight game, though. That was kind of interesting towards the end. Excuse me. Let's see here. Did anybody play on the new maps? This is a short one. Well, we do, in fact, have a short game on Wuthering Heights. I've been hearing not great things about this map from what people have said. And based on the fact that this is an 11-turn map, let's see. This is... What was that map? It wasn't Moai. What was that other map a while ago that hasn't been in the pool in forever because the game was just over in, like, 4 turns? I can picture it in my head, but I can't think of what it is. Alright, so we get the break here from PVZ. Speedola's going after the heart right out of the gate. But without the partner, Red can't quite reach. Doesn't care about the poison tiles, though. Alright, we're getting mirrored strategy so far. Squiggles, huh? Yeah, Squiggles is going to be a little bit more difficult to get a connect. Honestly, would it not have been better to break the obstacle? Like, if our orange player had broken this obstacle, the one in between Gravedigger and the heart here, would that not have been better? Because then this Squiggles can get on the heart this next turn. It's a little more vulnerable out of the vault. But the Inoculus doesn't care. It's going to have to be in... It's got to move 2 to reach... I mean, if it was here, 1, 2... Yeah, it has to move 2 more anyway, but the Squiggles at least can start teeing off on the heart. Here come the Bash Brothers. That's a lot of damage being represented on the heart right now. What is the answer to this? What cheap electricals are there? Because Bloat will never make it in time. You got, like, Electricat. Temptress. What's the 3-cost electrical? Is there one? I don't know that there's a 3-cost electrical. I mean, this is a pretty substantial lead that PVZ is building here. Admittedly, Squiggles might be able to pull this... You know, like, pull it in closer. Oh my god. Alright, this map is officially dumb. Is this what normally happens on this map? I'm being serious. Let me know, chat. And YouTube, let me know in the comments. If this is what normally happens on this map, I'm never going to put it in the pool again, because this is just asinine. Well, let me rephrase that. If this is the optimal strategy, this is asinine. If this happens all the time, but there is a reasonable counterplay to it and people just aren't doing it, that's different. Haven't had it happen until now. I've heard people say that this map is highly aggressive. Alright, panic point switching once again. I don't know what the point of this droney is. I guess just a bit more damage. Like, look at this. The PVZ is effectively not interacted with their opponent. I mean, admittedly, neither is Alistair, but, like... neither player has interacted with each other in any meaningful capacity. Now, Alistair could have tried to defend way before this. Maybe this was just a mathematical miscalculation. But I'm very curious if this is the normal gameplay loop. Because if it is, like, this is not a game. This is the equivalent of playing a card game and, like, playing the game War, where you're just flipping over cards. You're not making any meaningful decisions here. It's just choose guy, play guy, choose guy, play guy. Because there's no way to stop... Like, you can't prevent the Speedolas from getting there. You just have to defend the Speedolas being there. So I'm curious whether PVZ has discovered something here, or this is actually the gameplay loop. because I'm not gonna lie, that's not a good map. If that's, and again, this is why I like watching the games to try and figure this stuff out. But if that is the actual gameplay loop, you never got rushed like that. But the question is, and this is where I was going with the previous statement, what is the effective defensive response there? Because maybe the answer is player 2 is you just straight up have to haul ass down there. And that's fine, because then your opponent can't, if like you go all in to Heart Rush and they go all in to defend and the defense wins that gameplay, your appropriate plan should be get the hell out of there. Like, don't hang out there because you'll lose the race or the push, and then you lose the game. But if it ends up being a slugfest down there, maybe that's okay, but then it's still like the aggressive strategy player 1 auto wins, air quotes. Obviously not automatically, but it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm getting pings in Discord. Who's pinging me? Oh, I'll have to look at that later. All right, let's look at the other event. Gotta type the player's name right. All right, chat. We got an oldie but a goodie. Dear H versus Master Dark here. We're probably going to end up looking at a bunch of Master Dark games, since I heard some of them take place on the newer maps. We're back on This Might Sting a Little. I saw a number of players complain. Well, not a number. It was, well, by definition, it was a number. The number was 1 player complaining about this map due to Puff, their opponent having Puff specifically. And I get it, but generally speaking, I feel like most people like this map, like they're okay with this map, because it does foster a variety of different strategies. You can play a more defensive game plan, you can play a Heart Rush game plan, you can play to the panic points to try and pull your opponent out of position. And I think a lot of it goes down to, or comes down to, the way the vault interacts, or lack of interaction. You can't just reinforce trivially on this map. Now, as the Phobies cast grows, we get more Phobies and things like Puff are available to people. It does change the balance of power for this map. But there is an upper limit where like Goon here is still a very viable Phobie on this map, even though it takes time to rotate in and get into position, whereas Puff can obviously just assume the position on the stem right away. Oh, we go from Puff to Goon to Counter Puff. Cuckoo or stemmed Puffs. I don't know if that really works. We got 5 Phobies to 5. There are no spas on this map, so that creep could be relevant. I'm very curious where it wants to connect, because Puff will be able to get back and heal pretty easily. Tooth Fairy obviously would. Goon kind of has too much HP. Like, Goon has too much HP in order. Excuse me. Oh, we do get the stemmed Goon that allows a Blom hit onto the heart. The Goon really has too much HP to make the poison relevant, because it's not, it's generally speaking, not going to die to the poison. So then it will be able to heal up with Bloms relatively quickly. So I expect Dear H to kind of like take this poison, but I don't know that it's going to do anything like meaningful. We'll have to see. Yeah, a little Clopster action coming out. A little Clopster action. Counter Goon. All right. All right. What is the answer to Clopster, though? Clopster actually has a lot of utility on this map because it can dart around, pick stuff off, or get in on the heart. I mean, a Clopster onto the stim is a threat you have to respect, right? So, like, even the heal here. That's a free creep kill. So the big thing here for anybody curious, why didn't the Razormouth go and claim the center panic point? Because that allows for the counter bomb either from Goon or from Puff or from both, hypothetically, to be able to clear out both the cat as well as the Tooth Fairy here. And it also makes the center because of the Puff fire, you know, also a problem. We do get another bomb going down up into the north, Cooking Boomer and the opposing Puff, 15 keys to 10. Octonaughty coming out. Uh-oh. I just heard Windows say that something disconnected, and I don't know what it is. I know what it is now. I know what it is now. I just got a different notification. Blom. Getting his bell rung there. I don't love this, I don't think. Oh. Alright, this has suddenly got very, very scary for Master Dark. Pull is up, right? Alright, so pull is up. It won't let me click. Obviously, pull is happening. Blom is up. So, you could get a Blom. If you pulled a Goon, you could hit the Hevo. You could also stim Blom. Alright, this thing is going to drive me nuts. Yeah, there it is. Stim Blom. Get a big heal. We're going to clear out the Puff. So we trade Puff here. I think that's definitely acceptable. We're able to escape a bit to avoid the Hevo, except we're not now. Is this not a dead Goon? I guess the Goon's still tanky, because I was thinking, like, you get a Blom, the Hevo goes on the lava, gets a splash hit, and then the Inoculus goes after the Goon. But I guess the issue here is trying to respect the potential heart push. This opens up your Hevo to a freeze? And you have no fire to thaw right now. Alright, we have Sizzle. Why is Sizzle now the thaw of choice? I guess it allows you to thaw immediately, whereas Snowball, like, you can only thaw one stage. But here we're only going to get a one-stage thaw anyway, right? Well, no, it'll be... we'll see. Goon hanging on for dear life down here. Gonna ultimately give up Goon for Maggie. Alright, so this'll thaw right away. But not, like, the Hevo can't act this turn. That's a tough turn for Dear Age because nothing actually died. And instead, their stuff is dying. That hurts. That's a dead Evo, isn't it? Could you have done something different? I think you needed to just not let the Hevo get frozen there. And maybe my line coming down to the south and lobbing onto whatever was on the stem at the time was not correct, necessarily. But I think you needed to not let the Hevo get cooked. That being said, it is 4 Phobies to 3. I wouldn't say that Tier H's are better. Oh no, I didn't realize that was up. Yikes, never mind. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. Get the power down, but I'm not sure that that matters. 4-1 panic point advantage. But yeah. Even get the stimmed hit here. Take the cat down. Fire can obviously clear out the sizzle, ironically enough. GG. Yeah, I feel like you just... And believe me, I've done it a lot. I've lost a lot of Hevo 3.0s. But you just can't. Your whole team, like anytime, not anytime, but almost every time, nearly every time that Hevo 3.0 hits the board, it is like your entire team. You just can't allow it to die. All right, let's see if this is on a new map. Is it this one? I think this one is not on a new map. I'm gonna try and check and see if there's one of these is on a new map. Oh, we're sticking with Master Dark games, apparently. We're on Withering Heights. Did anybody play on any of the other new maps? I knew it was the thing to do it, freeze it. It was the Yeti target. Yeah, PvZ fights it. Yeah, we're going to probably look at that one next, Master Dark. So we got a werewolf start. I think Master Dark actually mentioned that in chat a little while ago. We get to counter Snowball. A couple of good boys hanging out on the board. Daisy. I don't know about that one. That being said, already the Gravedigger opener looks better than either of these. But wait, what? Alright, we got a Bad Sheep and Rusty. You know, I don't hate the Rusty as a response to Werewolf. And obviously with Bad Sheep, specifically Bad Sheep over Sheeping Gas, because Bad Sheep can do its Heart Explosion at range. But this does essentially shoo away the Werewolf, right? It can't commit with those Phobies on the board, because it'll end up dead. This does allow for our blue player to take panic point advantage. They do go for the poison onto the Werewolf. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Cooldown will come back. Why not? Why not? That does mean a dead Rusty, though, and that I don't love, because you don't have enough damage to really threaten this Werewolf this turn, I don't believe. And if that's the case, then you kind of... Like, the Rusty is a valuable asset, even as a 1 key. So Boom and Goon are the follow-up. This is surely to try and deter the sheep. That is a mistake, maybe? So the reason they did this is to allow the 500 damage poison to tick, but this is clearly going to get healed. So why not, like, I don't know, I don't think it matters. Like, hit it one more time, like attack it once more. I don't know. Spider, no heal yet. I can respect trying to get the spider online faster. Hevo really the only threat in position at the moment. We got an ice cream stare down. We had some cool... Alright, Goon stare down as well. We had some cool plays to start this off, but we're now absolutely in the middle game. Clinico to heal up the werewolf. That's fine, I guess. I'm just gonna inch up the spider, I guess. Wait, what are we doing here? I'm pretty sure the werewolf could get poisoned again, can't it? I guess you lose the sheep if you do that, though. Counter spider. Orange player has to do something, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But Boom is one of the 7. That's a bold move. Just because the Goon can get yoinked. Ooh, a Brony. This definitely screams Brony map to me. That being said, it will be... You can zone out... This is one of the scenarios where the threat of the phobie is more important than the actual phobie. Simply because it's probably going to be challenging to set up a good Brony unless your opponent plays into it. So you just kind of walk them back and claim the rest of the board for yourself. Alright, Goon is looking like he's on his last legs here. My wrist is messed up, Chad. Gotta find my brace. I think I gotta start wearing it again. That is very interesting. The Droney power down on your Frozen Goon seems like a pretty good trade for 5 of 6 phobies. The yoink onto the Henrietta is a little weird, but nah, it's fine. So that's a significant poison going down onto the Goon. Dead sheep? Clinico should be back up. But the sheep can fart explosion your team. Is that worth it here? This should be a dead ice cream, yep. Oh, it needs a snowball, alright. So we do get the big old fart. No damage out of it, but it does apply the big poison. So the Brony is now officially worn off of everybody, but it was a pretty significant Brony. Like, it mattered a lot. Board position completely flipped, both phobie-wise as well as panic point-wise. Why did that just happen? Okay, there was a move left. I was like, you're going to leave it on the tile after healing it? It kind of defeats the point. Clops are getting added to the mix. 6 keys to 0. I don't feel as though our blue player got the value out of sheep that they really wanted. I think Spider is up. Which means that Ice Cream and or Snappy is dead. That being said, if Moffat goes in, it's probably going to die as well. Yeah, so we're going to put some effort into beating up the goon. Oof. Master Dark's goon is beat to hell. Is this a freeze? Is that worth? Ooh, sniping the Clinico is a big deal because that means that this sheep is actually a big threat again. For some reason, I thought the goon, Mago's goon, was not live. That, yikes. Do you just brony their whole team here? Is brony live? Alright, so take down there. Never mind, concession comes in. Yeah, that's a tough spot. GG. GG. Midge, what's good? How you doing, Midge? Let's see here. What's the last game? Excuse me. I am tired. I was thinking about switching some of the game review nights, so that way I'm not as tired when I'm doing them. Doing alright? Good. Good to hear. What do we got here? Whoop. Why is Ob switching on me? And it is this one. Well, we were sticking with Master Dark games. Kind of. So, we might as well look at this one. Vicious Cycle here, which... I don't think I've looked at this map yet. I'd like this Gravedigger start, but I'm going to be kind of annoyed if we have yet another Gravedigger focus map. Been playing Magic lately, it's been really good. It's funny, because from the outside looking in, all you ever really hear about when it comes to something like Magic is the sky is falling constantly, right? Like, oh my god, the One Ring is ruining everything. Oh my god, Foundations is changing all the rules. Oh my god, this. Oh my god, that. And it's like, is it really that bad? It never is. It never is. I've been playing a lot of Star Wars Unlimited and doing a lot of content for that, so I really enjoy that game. If you haven't looked into it, I do recommend it to people. All right, so we get a bloat as the counter to Giggles here. I don't know about that one. Murder Wing to claim a panic point seems reasonable. Benny. So this map feels like it's going to be turret heaven, right? There's a bunch of relevant conveyor belts to shovel the turrets into significant positions quicker than they would ordinarily. The hearts are unfortunately positioned in the sense that they are tucked away in a corner that is pretty much unassailable. Some things like having 5 years of standard feels weird, and now next year in June, the Universe Beyonds will be in standard, which is also weird. So, the Universes Beyond thing, I think, is Okay, so I like the idea of the longer standard. I always hated standard, and I always wanted to play extended, and I wasn't playing when modern was a thing. But modern and mid-range Eternal formats always enticed me because it's like, hey, I can play with these cards longer. It's like, because it always felt like by the time I acquired something or I was able to build a deck that I liked around whatever the new mechanic was. So the big example for me that really highlights it is like the first Ravnica block. I wanted to play Rakdos. Well, that was in set 3. So by the time that came out and then I acquired the cards, it was on the verge of rotating out. You know, like I would maybe get one major tournament with it because at least at that time, I wasn't going to travel to a lot of things. So it felt like you never really got to use your cards. I think it will be fine. The larger issue is the combination of the additional sets. So now it's 6 sets a year. Like, that's a lot. The only way that I could see it being reasonable is like if you could buy essentially a single deck and then just upgrade it through the 6 sets a year, you know, like you only add 1 or 2, because there is, when you have an Eternal format, and at 5 years, it's getting close to an Eternal format, right? I'm confident they will change it before they hit 5 years. Like, I'm confident they will, but that's a different discussion. I think when you get to those Eternal formats, so, like, say you're playing Red Deck Wins, there will be a Red Deck Wins deck in that format that exists. Like, whatever the best aggro, and there might be, like, 1 or 2 other aggro decks, right? There will be an upper limit on what they can include in the deck. And those will be the only cards that matter. Everything else will be irrelevant. What will be interesting is how much churn from those decks happens. So, like, if set 1 of this new cycle builds Red Deck Wins, how many cards are you replacing each set? Because you would think it would probably only be like 2 cards, maybe. But it could be, the way they design the sets, that it is turning it over and it's like you're replacing half the deck every time a new set comes out. And that would be bad for obvious reasons if it's 6 sets a year and times 5 years. Like, that's a lot of shit. It all just comes down to Wizards and their new economic models. It's tough. It's tough. I don't know what this block is supposed to do here. Like, I get it. But is that really... Oof. Oof. That's... I don't love... Like, I don't know why PVZ sacrificed those Phobies for no reason. That doesn't make any sense to me. We do get a Blasto here. Another turret coming down. I can respect it, but Master Dark has 9 keys. Panic point advantage into Master Dark's favor. The Giggles is now no longer vulnerable because it's going to get pulled back by the conveyor, and the answer is Ice Scream. I think Master Dark is banking on PVZ killing... excuse me, killing the cat here, which it looks like they're going to do. I don't like that. So I think PVZ needed to advance Benny, kill the cat, which allows the Blasto to move up 1. The problem with that is you then allow the Cassowary to leap off the stem to hit the Blasto plus Giggles plus Murderwing. But I think the bottom line is you needed the Blasto up 1, because even all of that should not kill the Blasto, which then allows you to heal it. 3 keys remaining. Russell is the answer. Is Russell really what you want here? I mean, I guess you kind of have the tools to address the Blasto. And admittedly, PVZ is the one who has to do something. But they're clearly trying to set up a Blasto play here. And now they're absolutely on the clock with the Phantom. I think PVZ needed to be more aggressive with the Blasto. The defensive play with the Blasto allowed for Master Dark to try and press something here. Alright, so we get the pull. What? Oh, we're just going to get a big AoE? It does take down the Ice Scream, but it's not enough damage to kill the other Phobies, and this poison is going to go ham. Sulky? You know, Sulky could mop up here. I don't hate the Sulky. It's not going to be great. Because this Russell's going to get a double kill, right? Essentially. Murder Wing should go in to kill off the Benny, most likely. Droney. Okay, fair. We do have Blom available, but there's no way to set up a good Blom here. I don't even know that Sulky can one-shot the Droney, can it? Apparently not, or otherwise PVZ probably would have gone for that. We have a game, folks. I mean, Russell can do some damage here. Actually, this Blasto might just be dead. Stim... Wait, do you not have Leap? Oh, you used Leap. Still, like, this is a lot of damage. Not enough to kill it. You can get a Blom here. Electrocat, the final Phobie. 2 Phobies on PVZ's side are mechs, so this is going to be rough. The retreat into the Blom. That does give you a powered-up Sulky. 450 damage now, so he's a slightly better cassowary. That doesn't do anything. Would it not have been better... Because you're going to lose the Gravedigger no matter what. Would it not have been better to body block out the Russell with the Gravedigger? Because then only Russell or the Murder Wing can connect with it. Right? You'll have to correct me, chat. I feel like that would have been better, because you're going to lose the Gravedigger, so just use it to body block that. But down goes Sulky, down goes PVZ. GG. I just worry about Red Deck wins being around and being good for 5 years, but it's good in every format always. Like, obviously not literally every format, but there's always a Red Deck wins, right? So I'm not worried about it being good for 5 years, because it probably would have been good for 5 years anyway, just with different cards. They really need to stop power creeping things. It definitely, well, yes and no. So I don't know when you started playing, Midge, but like, if you were playing during the when Extended was a thing, Type 1.5, when they first invented that format, there were an enormous amount of combo decks that were problematic, but like, it was a very highly powered format. Like, you could have very powerful formats, but the thing is, like, take it to the extreme. Vintage is the most powerful format, right? By definition. I guess you could say Commander, but, like, I'm talking about real formats. So, Vintage is the most powerful format, right? When a new set comes out, how many cards actually make the cut? It's usually, like, each deck maybe gets 1 card, and generally speaking, it's like, they get a sideboard card. You know, if you're playing Oath, I don't know if Oath is good anymore, but like, maybe you swap out Darksteel Colossus for the new hotness Angel, because like, oh, well, this Angel is better versus whatever. You can have Yu-Gi-Oh levels of format, but at some point it goes off the rail unless stuff gets banned. It depends. I've played games and formats where, like, I like eternal formats. And yes, you tend to need ban lists in order to curate things. But it also presumes a level of foresight for Wizard. Because as soon as we're having this discussion with Star Wars Unlimited, as soon as you ban something, the next thing, like the next boogeyman comes up, right? Because the cards were designed that we know we created this card, so that means that this card can do this because this card will keep it in check. Well, if we ban this card, this is no longer kept in check, and now this runs amok. So when you have bans, it's usually should happen is like ban waves. You have to excise multiple things. And again, that presumes a level of foresight on their part that may or may not happen. You're giving Wizard too much credit thinking they think into the future. I mean, they do. The thing is that, so, and I'd say that this is true for every major company. You can give them shit because, look, they're human, they will make mistakes. But nobody wants a bad game. There are no designers, literally zero, who want a bad game. They don't exist. There are corporate suits who don't give a fuck if the game is bad. And as a result, they're the ones who write the checks, and they will push things that should or should not have happened. They change it right before release and didn't play test it. That happens all the time. And there are reasons that they do that, because even I've talked about this in the context of Phobies and every game. Having a broken game is better than having a boring game. Now, would a format be boring if they didn't do that last second change? Probably not. But like I said, they're human and they make mistakes. This has gone back as far as, like, I started playing Magic in 1994. Trust me, I've seen lots of really bad formats. I did this for a video for Star Wars recently where I mentioned I played during Necro Summer, I played during Combo Winter, I played during Mirrodin with fucking Ravager. Like, it's ridiculous. True, as long as said broken doesn't remain broken for too long. That's not even necessarily true. Because if everything is broken, nothing is broken. And there are people who do love those formats and those sort of games. That doesn't appeal to everyone, but I promise you there are tons of, like, the things that almost killed Magic was almost, like, Urza's Saga was really bad for Combo Winter. That didn't do as bad of a number on Magic as Fallen Empires did. It certainly didn't do as bad of a number on Magic as Chronicles did, and that wasn't even a power level format thing, that was just an outside the game economic thing. Urza's Saga was gross. Yeah. Games literally were decided on turn 1. Well, turn 0, technically, because it's like, did I mulligan into Force of Will? No? Alright, let's go to game 2. The thing is, Rocket, like, even in that scenario, let's put it this way. And yes, it's not a one-to-one argument. Is the queen broken in chess? Objectively, it is, right? It is just literally better. If you had the option, you would make every single one of your pieces queens from the start of the game, right? Like, you would never use another piece. There's no reason. I guess maybe you'd use a knight for, like, the occasional thing, but how many are on a board? Like 18? Whatever. Like, whatever the number is, you would have your king and then the rest queens, right? But you both have queens. Exactly. So if you and I are playing the same broken deck, the game can still be interesting even if we were playing an identical 60 cards. And not just due to variance. It can still be interesting from a gameplay perspective. Most people do want the varied gameplay, though, so I can understand, like, okay, if I sit down, I play that. If I'm going to do that, why am I not just playing chess? Well, there's lots of reasons, because my little funny cards have zombies on them, and I like zombies, so I want to play this over chess. Unless, I guess, zombie chess set, I guess, I don't know. It gets, like, psychologically, it gets difficult. Of course, people don't always want to play against hyper aggro. You could apply that to any archetype. And I promise you there are people who would rather... Like, my wife will play aggro as playing the aggro deck and play against aggro and choose that every single time over anything else. And she will not care. Now, is she everyone? Obviously not. But it comes down to, why are people coming to the game? Like, what... And trying to appeal to different player types, player, goals. And for people out there watching this for Phobies, I'll include this in the Monster of the Week video. This is relevant to Phobies. And you could replace, when we're talking about aggro or control or mid-range, you could talk about Innocuous strats, Gravedigger strats, setting up Akira's, shove shark things, whatever. Like, there are lines of play and gameplay loops where, because of the constraints of any given game, you can only apply so many strategies in a particular instance of the game. People like having different options and metas. As long as OP doesn't get stale, it can be good. Well, that's the thing. The stale part is what's relevant. The overpowered part can be it can induce a stale meta, but it isn't inherently stale. I think if they plan to make a good chase card because it's good, you shouldn't have the counters in the same set and not... Oh, you should have the counters in the same set and not wait. The problem is, in my opinion, I do not like that design philosophy of, we have a power card, we have the counterspell. I'm saying counterspell, it doesn't have to literally be a counterspell, but we have the counter for that card in the same set, so therefore it's balanced. That's not good balance. Cards should not be countered, strategies should. So that you can play in a way that beats it without having to find the specific component. And again, Phobies people, same thing. Because the issue with that is, because like I said, I played Magic years ago. Circle of Protection is not a good design philosophy. Circle of Protection red to beat red decks is not a healthy thing. If you want a better or a different example of the same thing, Rashad Port and Sabo's Web. Like, it's not... They didn't want to ban Rashad Port, so they put Sabo's Web in the next set, well, the next block, as like an answer to it. And it's like, oh, so if I draw the one of, great, I can stop you, maybe, sort of. Like, it... You need ways to... And sometimes it's just like, okay, yes, there has to be a card to stop this strategy. But countering aggro is different from stopping a specific aggro card. Because you could add more removal and then have different versions of the removal. Like, this one gives -X. This one actually just kills something. This is a bounce. This is a memory lapse. This is a counter. This is a Swords to Plowshares. This is a shuffle into your deck. I couldn't think of a card that did it, but like different stuff. But it's different than saying, oh, you must have terror on turn 3 to answer this thing or you're dead. Like, that's not great. I say this a lot. If a bad card does something against the boogeyman of the format, is it a bad card? Yes. Because it can be bad. Like, so there's multiple different ways of saying, is it bad? Is it a bad card competitively? No, because it serves a function. Is it a bad card from a design perspective? Yes, because if you're required to play something that is gameplay loot-wise, I'm trying to find a good way to describe this. Like, it's not a fun card to play, but you are required to play it because you cannot compete otherwise. That is still a bad card. So, like, something can be bad for multiple reasons. It doesn't have to be bad because, like, oh, it has a bad stat line or something. Like, I tend to come at things from a competitive player standpoint, so it's going to be, well, look, if I have to play this card, I have to play this card, and that's what it is. However, I think we can all agree, competitive player or not, that we're coming to the game to play a game. And this came up in the discussion for a different WotC game, for Transformers. So that game, and this is stay with me here. So in that game, we were told literally by the designers, who were Magic designers also at the time. The game was invented to essentially be, what if you played Magic, but you started on turn 4? So the aggro decks started with like 3 or 4, sometimes more guys in play. And the control decks would start the game with like 1 or 2 guys in play. And you never get to add from guys. The way the game ends is you don't have any more guys in play. You kill them off through combat. The entire game was predicated on I punch your guy punches my guy. And then it's like you play buffs, you play direct damage, you play heal, you could do different effects. In the 4th set of the game, they introduced an alternate win condition that completely bypassed the combat phase of the game. That sounds interesting to some people for obvious reasons, but I think you can all see where this is going. The problem with it was, because it bypassed the primary axis on which the game operated, we were no longer playing the same game. And to a lesser degree, if you are forced to include bad cards in order to interact in a meaningful way with your opponent, so you are not meaningfully interacting with the game in a way that you are coming to the game to interact with it, and I know this sounds super abstract, so just trust me. Like, if you're going into the game and it's like, I want to play guys and I want to smash the guys that we play. If I'm now forced to do this other stuff, it is less entertaining and engaging. And to a degree, you just have to accept, hey, your opponent gets to play the game too, so they're going to make you play in ways that maybe you aren't necessarily prepared for. But the farther we stray outside of, like, this is what the game is about, that's where we risk it, competitive or casual, it risks not being interesting or fun. And that's where you can have a good card still be a bad card, or a bad card be a good card. Unless it's Yu-Gi-Oh! You could make a strong argument that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not a game. Like, I don't know that there's much. Then your opponent risks not playing. Yeah. For a while, I was getting presented a lot of, like, clips on YouTube of, they were like little skits of people who were Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, but like, it was like playing against the combo player at your locals. And then the guy sits down, they start playing, the combo guy wins the die roll. He's like, all right, I'll be right back. He like goes and does his laundry. He goes out, watches a movie. He goes and does this. He comes back. He's like, you're still not done? Yu-Gi-Oh! Can be solitaire. Every game can be solitaire. But the solitaire experience is a good example of, like, that is the argument absurdum, right? Like, if you're in a philosophy class and you're learning to debate or something, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that extreme example of, okay, well, if you just let them do whatever they want, this is what happens, and nobody wants that. Well, there's always somebody who wants that, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Is solitaire versus an opponent. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of my primary examples of interaction is not what people think it is. So a lot of people will say, what do you want in a game? You want interaction. No, that's not what you want. Because lots of people play Yu-Gi-Oh! And there's interaction, but it really, and admittedly I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh! In decades, but like, it was basically like, did you see XYZ in the in your opener? No? Well, then you just fucking lost. Like, there's nothing you're going to do. They're going to lock you out the Amaterasu, and there's nothing you're going to do. It was like playing War. You just flip your cards over, whoever had the bigger number won. There were no meaningful decisions that were made, for the most part. Like, it was very rudimentary things. There really isn't. I don't know what that was in response to. It's one of the arguments that because I was having this discussion with somebody and I didn't like really get into it with them, but I've had it on many occasions on stream and with other people, that you do not need instants, traps, counter spells, or interrupts, anything you can have completely asynchronous turns and still have depth of game if it is designed properly. Just as deep of a game without having the complexity of that stuff. It just makes it harder for the designer, the developer, to do that. Because like an easy answer is, oh, well, we'll just let people have counter spells. Well, what if you don't have counter spells? How can you make that work? And I think it is possible. The problem is like, and this comes up a lot when I was talking about Star Wars, is like, what do you... I think Star Wars is a superior game to Magic. I think it's superior to almost every card game I've played. I was literally saying it last night. I put it as top 5, maybe top 2 card games I played all time of everything. Physical or digital. Why aren't more people playing it? Well, FFG sucks, so a lot of people are avoiding it because of that. There were issues with the distribution early, mostly because of Lorcana. It's a longer discussion. But the main reason is card games are lifestyle products, and it's difficult to get people to switch. And this also ties back to Phobies, for Phobies people that might have made it this far. Like, why aren't more people playing Phobies if it's such a great game? Well, the economy is a problem. Nobody knows it exists. And these sort of games are lifestyle games, because if you get a chess player interested, like, well, I could play Phobies, which is very much like chess. It's just as deep. It's just as complex, maybe more. But I have to spend money. I could just play chess. But is there a digital version? What, of Star Wars? There are unofficial ones. There's no official ones, and I don't think there ever will be an official one, personally. They made no mention of it, and I highly doubt they ever will. They just announced Worlds. It's going to be at Vegas next year. I was talking about it last night. Well, they didn't just. They announced it 2 weeks ago, I think. Yeah, this all started with the with the discussion of the new standard format for Magic, which is kind of funny. It's kind of amusing. I don't know what game we just looked at, chat. I don't even remember. Oh, it was Master Dark PVZ. We can look at one more game, I think. I think we can look at one more game. I'm a little disappointed that people didn't play more on the new maps. I'm a little disappointed that people didn't play on the new maps more. Magic has it, Yu-Gi-Oh has it. I think Pokemon is a better card game than Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, personally, but it's just me. They also have a digital client. Alright, so we got Mago, we got Potenzia, we got This Might Sting a Little. Maybe I needed to just not include this map in the pool. These are interesting openers by both players. I can understand the creep counters the Murder Wing, also provides a range tool. I still don't personally love Gravediggers on this map. Like, I'm just not a fan. But some people swear by it, I guess. Some people swear by it. I don't know. This is a very generic opener by Potenzia. Met by what is becoming a generic opener-ish in the form of Puff from Mago. Bloms on this map do, of course, reign supreme. Nose is very itchy, chat. Nose is very itchy. Counter the Blom with a little noxious action. Of course, the unofficial Random Slots mascot until we get an Undead T-Rex and Phobies. I can't believe I still have to ask for this. Why is it taking so long? Not like I have any control over this, but why isn't there an Undead T-Rex? Why aren't there more undead dinosaurs in this? Like, imagine a giant undead Brontosaurus. Is Brontosaurus back to being a dinosaur anymore? Because it was, and then it wasn't, and then I thought it came back. I don't at not being a paleontologist. I don't understand. Like, I used to know this, and it's knowledge that I've just straight up lost. Like, I've forgotten why Brontosaurus was no longer a thing and Brachiosaurus replaced it. It's like, okay, you messed up the skeleton, right? Like, oh, we realize these bones don't go with this. This is actually a different animal, and therefore whatever. That's fine. But then you still have this classification of animal that was Brontosaurus is now this other thing, and it's like, why not keep the same name and just be like, oh, well, this is what this actually means. I don't understand why it had to change. It's something that, like I said, I knew and I've forgotten. I'm sure somebody in the comments will correct me. Potenzia not going to walk into the puff play, I presume. All right, second break here. Probably going to get the same Atamago on the follow-up turn. All right, so we're dodging the Blom here. There is a Blom available. I was going to say there are two, but there's one. So you can go to the center and then Blom onto the Hevo and Gravedigger, but then of course Puff is going to die, so that's a waste. This Puff is still vulnerable to getting poisoned. However, if you go for that, you're going to lose your Noxious, so I don't think Potenzia is going to bite on that. I'm going to say Yawa, because that's a lot of letters in that name, and I don't know how exactly to pronounce that, so welcome. This game is awesome. Yes, it is. Welcome. All right, 3-1 panic point advantage. Are we going to get... All right, we get the takedown here on Cowbell, flipping the panic points. Blom's still alive? Noxious still very much vulnerable if it tries to go in for a multi-spit. I'm not sure here. Poison onto 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would have been the 7th phobia, but now frees up a slot for Mago to be able to heal the spider. I don't know about that. Like, I don't love this poison, but I guess it's fine. The thing is, so you force the muffin. All right, here's the selling point for doing this. It eliminates the muffin, thereby preventing easy, all right. Get the puke and retreat. So it prevents the easy heal and poison removal for the eventual noxious spit. Creep goes down trivially. So I think Potenzia is trying to set up the noxious poison to land on several things, and then now that Muffin is no longer an option, take it down. This is a good heads-up play. Sniping this Hevo here. That's a Vault Snipe that is not a common one. You're not expecting that if you're Mago, so I can respect that one. We do get the Noxious Spit going down onto the Murder Wing. This should kill it despite the healing. Obviously, the Noxious is not going to die from the counterattacks. Akira coming in. All right, so Akira is going to present some issues here. We are going to have displacement online for our orange player. What we got here? Boom is the 7th phobia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're maxed out for Potenzia's side. 7 keys to 1 remaining. Noxious Spit is down. Akira's not going to be live this next turn, thanks to warm-up. So, how is Potenzia going to position themselves? They're down 3-1 on panic point counts. 4-1 on the panic point counts. So this is a lot of pressure coming in. Murder Wing not quite dead. Shove Shark getting in position. So we're going to get the Akira pull into the Shove Shark, pull with the Spider. We've seen this now a few times where maybe there's too much utility. There isn't a ton of damage if you don't get, like, a great puff hit. So Potenzia trying to displace themselves or spread themselves as best they can in order to minimize the Akira threat. Alright, we're going to pop here. No Akira yet. Alright. Murder Wing was going to die anyway, so just getting the meatball in while they can. Panic points have now flipped to blue. What are we looking at heart-wise? Hearts are still very healthy. Obviously, more damage done to Tenzia, but it doesn't really matter at this stage. Like, it's not a actual threat. The 7 keys, however, are a threat. What is Potenzia going to add to the team here? I think they're trying to bait out the Akira pull. Slash, you know, now that they've established a panic point advantage. Like, unless you add something to the team, you can't actually fight Mago's team, because the Akira will annihilate you. Especially if they can set it up such that the puff is still on the stem somehow. No Shove Shark to allow for a longer range Moffat pull. So both players are just being... Alright, this game ends in 3 turns. How does this end? Ooh, are we going to get a heart push here? No, you can't, because this Gravedigger can open this up, can it? It can. Alright, so Gravedigger can crack this block open. So you break the block in front of your Gravedigger, move Akira pull, puff onto the stem. Is that worth? Alright, so we snipe the Gravedigger. 4-1 panic point becomes 3-2 panic points. This is a dead spider, right? I don't know why this spider went up there. Like, of all the things, you didn't need to... You could have sent one of the 1 keys to claim this panic point down here. Alright, we get the heal on Noxious. 6 keys. Sabian. Sabian is pretty tanky. 2,300 health, 500 damage in the AoE. That is a decent answer to Akira, because similar to Hydra and other phobies like that, you pull this guy in, you have to kill him, or he's gonna... What? Hold on, we gotta look at this again. I don't understand what... Like, where was everything gonna end up there? Obviously, the... I wonder if they... Maybe they ran out of time? I couldn't pause it quick enough to see what was happening. Alright, we're going to try and pause. So that's where things end up. Or some facsimile thereof. Yeah, there is no... This was the problem that I was saying earlier. Like, okay, Akira has pulled now, right? Where's the damage? What are you going to do? And because you are behind on panic points, you have to advance as our orange player here. I mean, there's an argument that you send Boom or Rusty up to the top corner slash this bottom panic point. But you get the pull here, and that's why I was saying earlier, unless you can get a Savage Blom from Puff, you just have no damage. This game probably could have gone on another 30 turns if Mago wanted it to, but I can see why they surrendered. I get it. But GG. How did they win? So Mago surrendered this game because... So Potenzia wins. Blue player wins because I don't think there's any way that orange player can actually kill anything at this point. The only way they can kill something is they would have to set up a puff, like pull Rusty one thing, puff plus boom another, and that's probably it. And then there would still be 2 or 3 other threats on the board. Like, if you kill the Sabian, then there's still Innocuous, Hevo, Hydra, Noxious, Ray. If you kill Innocuous or Hevo, you have the other stuff. They had trade the Gravedigger on turn 14 into turn 14. So the reason I think they did the Gravedigger was just to try and draw them into something. But GG. GG. So I know I missed some comments in chat. You speak Spanish, Phobies has a lot of LATAM players. They do. There is a big LATAM community. In the main Phobies Discord, and I am a content affiliate. They give me coffee for producing Phobies content, but if you check out the main Phobies Discord, there's a big community there. So you can find other players if you haven't already. You may have already. What's my elo? Hey, thank you for the follow. My elo, I am currently sitting at Sum of All Fears 1 because I haven't actually played a Phobies game and probably closing in on a year. My highest rank was like Sum of All Fears 3. Did I hit Sum of All Fears 3? I think the one season where I pushed, I ended up at like 3,300 something. So maybe Sum of All Fears 2 and I just didn't do it. For me, there's no incentive to actually climb the ladder. Like, the problem is hitting the top of the ladder doesn't reward you with anything better than somebody who's lower on. Like, if you're Sum of All Fears, that's the highest you can get. Once you hit Sum of All Fears, it doesn't matter. Like, your season. Well, I think, does your season pack get better if you're Sum of All Fears 3? It might get like marginally better, but it is not worth the effort. On my friend circle, your top 1. Nice. Somebody's got to be, right? Somebody's got to be. But yeah, chat, that's going to do it for Monster of the Week for this week. We'll still hang out for a little bit. Let me put the cap on this. That's going to do it for this week's Monster of the Week. If you're interested in playing in some Phobies tournaments, hit up the Random Thoughts Discord. The link for that, of course, will be in the description of this video, where it always is, down by the like and subscribe button. But as always, everybody, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and tune in next time for more Random Thoughts.